have to ask themselves, are they actually ready to let something go? Now you can start setting those intentions for 2024 on like cultivating different relationships that are serving and never gonna stick if you try to copy people. It's gonna be a little bit uncomfortable because you're doing something different. The way that you can actually serve others, the best way that you can be a better version for the world, for everything, is by being the better version for yourself.
Everything doesn't need to be a competition. Let's collaborate on everything. Like, let's build each other up. Let's support each other.
Hello everyone, and welcome to my new YouTube series called Facial Features, where I bring in a friend of mine or a special guest that I'm really inspired by to talk about a topic that they're passionate about or around a specific topic of the month, while I give them a facial in my space. In today's episode, I'm going to have my really good friend Kristy talk about letting go of the past of 2023 and moving forward with new intentions into 2024. It's a really beautiful conversation about how 2024 is going to feel a lot more airy and light and more feminine, and where 2023 was very dark and kind of more masculine focused. So I'm really excited to get into this conversation. I hope you guys love it as much as I did. And yeah, thank you for being here, a part of my new series. You guys can expect this once a month with a new guest and a new topic, and I'm really excited and looking forward to this new series. So let's get right into it. I hope you enjoy. I am very excited to have you as my first guest on my new series called Facial Features. So this is my really good friend Kristy, and why don't you go and tell everyone a little bit about yourself and what you do.
So my name is Kristy, as she kind of said, and I work here in Lacombe, and I have a private practice, I guess. So I'm a shamanic healer and a psychological and spiritual coach, we'll just call it, I guess. But what I do is I work with people individually and also groups and stuff, and we go within, because everything kind of is created and everything happens within, and that's how, you know, you make your external kind of transformation. So if there's any sort of blocks, if there's any limiting beliefs, distortions, any sort of things like across a person's timeline. So that's basically what a person is creating in their life. And so I work within with them in the mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual. And then we just kind of heal into a person, and then it's their entire, then they can start making the moves of what they're supposed to do. And they kind of come into alignment with their purpose and their self.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
So just because it is the start of January and moving into kind of like intention setting and goals, what would you say is like the number one thing that people should look for when like setting intentions or maybe leaving behind things in the past?
I think the first thing people have to do is they have to ask themselves, are they actually ready to let something go? Because my teacher said it perfectly, but he was saying that, you know, we always say, I'm going to leave this behind, but what if it's still serving you? Like, what if you're not ready to leave that behind? So it's like we say, I want to leave this behind and I'm done with it, it doesn't serve me, but the thing is like what you're not realizing is what that has been serving you. Because there's a purpose for it, whether you like it or not, it's kind of been doing something. So when you are really ready to let something behind, I think that it's really about coming into an understanding of, there has to almost be like a thanking and an honoring of something. You know, like it had a purpose, it did serve something, whether it was wounded or healthy. But then when you don't fight something so much, I think that really helps. So sometimes acknowledging it, seeing it, getting the takeaways, the lessons, like what did I learn from it? Because everything has a purpose. So when you gather those lessons, then you'll have a better understanding and appreciation of it, and then you're able to actually start making those steps to move forward into how can I transform this? How can I use this now? And so I think that's a really, really big thing that a lot of people don't talk about, but what they need to in a way.
Yeah. I don't know if I've ever had anyone being like, are you actually ready to let that go?
Yeah.
Yeah, because like everything does like has got you to where you are today and the human you are today, even if it was like a challenging, you like took a lesson from it.
Right? Yeah. And it's like so evaluating kind of from that perspective too. And it's like it's asking yourself, like, am I? And if the answer is no, like that's okay, but then it's now at least you have something to work with.
Right. Love that.
What was some of the stuff that you kind of let go of this year, or that you were, you know, like reflecting on your stuff too?
I guess like letting go of more so relationships that like no longer serve me, and I was kind of getting into that like at the end of my busy year of 2023 last year, like letting go of like people that like I guess don't deserve to be in my life anymore from like how they treated me. Reflecting back also of like I've let go of friendships in the past, like for example in high school, like of people that like were just growing separately, and it's okay to like let friendships dissolve, and that's like a natural thing in life. So kind of letting that go as well is like was a huge thing of me, and being like it's okay for letting friendships dissolve. Like not everyone has to remain friends for all of eternity.
Right.
And sometimes people go in different directions, and so I feel like if someone's not going down the same path or is not like lifting me up or helping and supporting me, it's just like why are you kind of in my life? Like I don't need to deal with the drama or the negativity anymore. I'm kind of over it.
Right? And that's so beautiful, because like what it's showing to, and like correct me if I'm wrong, you know, you learn those lessons, so you are ready to let it go. And the intention, and I mean I'm sure you have different intentions, so I don't want to speak for you, but like it also goes to show the root of it that your worth has changed. And like what you want to create, and you know who you are as a person. And it doesn't have to be like a negative letting go, like that's just, you know, thank you, I see you, I honor you, you know, thank you for showing me what I needed to. But now you can start setting those intentions for 2024 on like cultivating different relationships that are serving, and your energy is like put into the places that are also going to be that reciprocation of like that give and take. You know what you deserve, and you know your external circumstances have to match that. And so like that's kind of like I guess a really great example, like what I was even just saying in the beginning of like that's what I, you know, do is like we work within, because your external stuff has to match it.
And then I think it's just like you also after that you need to set those boundaries for yourself, so you're not falling back into patterns.
Yeah, and boundaries are always huge. And I think it's like, and it's funny because like when you said that word, immediately it was like I had this like feeling where before boundaries to always me felt like this like, you know, you have to stay away, but it's like they're like loving boundaries, because it's a reflection of yourself, love within.
And it's especially, for example, going back to friendships, it's like thank you for this friendship, you taught me you know what I needed to, but now like with loving respect, I'm just kind of like withdrawing myself from this friendship. I have nothing against you, I'm just like I need to move forward to evolve myself.
Right? Because everything has to match. Like your external stuff always has to be, it mirrors to you what's like within. And like that's what boundaries do, I think too, is they mirror what you're holding within. And it's good to like have that for yourself. Feels so nice, by the way. You're so lovely at this.
Oh, thank you. So now if people have the vision of letting go something, then how would they move forward in 2024 with it, like a new intention?
I think you need to have a healed outcome first. So we sometimes, like a healed outcome, I don't think is necessarily the same as like a long-term goal, although it is in a way, but a healed outcome is like, how do you want to be? So it's the state of being. So yes, of course, that can include like, you know, I want to move, I want to like live in a bigger house or whatever it is that's, you know, radiating with you, but it's more like I want to be abundant, I want to be fulfilled, I want to be confident, I want to be happy, I want to like, so I think having an understanding of what your healed outcome, like how you want to look and be and show up in your life, is super important. I think that's the biggest thing that we need to focus on, because then from there, it's easier to start making those steps and starting to like work on the process of it moment by moment. So like setting that intention of, this is my healed outcome. So it's like, how can and what can I do in this moment to start getting towards that healed outcome? Like, you know, asking yourself questions of like, what type of person do I have to be? What type of things do I have to let go of to be this type of person? And, you know, I think for a lot of people, like visualizations and stuff are huge. So having like a morning practice, for instance, is really good, because then you're starting your day in a very intentional mindset every day.
Yeah.
And so it's like, you know, whether you're journaling, whether you're meditating, whether you're just sitting and working on your breath work, calming your nervous system, whether you're, you know, maybe you're a person who needs to like walk, like, and that's how you get your meditative state. Just something where you're sitting with yourself and you're reflecting on the day before, reflecting on how you want to be today. And then really just being open to allowing life to flow through you too. Because when we're so fixated, that's why I think like that healed outcome of state of being is a lot better than necessarily like what you want, because we don't really know in a grand scheme, I think, what is best for us. Right. We think we do. So if you have that healed outcome that you're working towards, then you're moving to that, but you're able to like also allow life to come through you, right? Instead of like, I'm gonna always have to do this, and then you're missing all these amazing opportunities that could have taken you maybe in a different path, but still towards what you wanted.
Right. Being inspired, I guess, by someone that like you look up to, and like reflecting on like how are they showing up for themselves, and how, you know, like what are they doing that I'm inspired by, and how can I incorporate a little bit more of that into my own life. So I really like going at it from that intention too. Like if I'm, for example, like you show up every day for yourself in your morning routine, so I can go and be like, okay, how can I just start doing that in my life? Maybe it's just like sitting down with intention and journaling, or sitting down and meditating every day, and just kind of starting with a small little commitment, so it's not like too overwhelming.
Totally.
And then once I've, you know, maybe did that for all of 2024, then I can go in and be like, hey, let's add on to that. It doesn't need to be everything all at once either.
Right. And that's the biggest thing, is like, I think the biggest thing I've learned about being like a healer and like a space holder and stuff is people, like my job is to guide you. My job is to not have you like dependent upon me and take everything I say as the end all be all. It's to take your takeaways and then go into your own life, and how can you cultivate that? How can you create that in your own life?
Yeah.
So it's like, that's the type of person, you know, like you said, those inspiring people, and it is, and then it's taking it and it's making your own. Things are never gonna stick if you try to copy people.
Yeah.
It's like that inspiration, and then it's like, how can I make this my own? Because you want to be able to move through that process of like, this is an awareness, this is a playing around, this is testing it out, and then this is me. I am this now.
Yeah.
And like, that's a big thing too with goals and intentions, is like, you have to be able to make it your own. And it's about the small steps every single day to get there. And it is realizing that sometimes you're gonna stumble, you're gonna mess up, it's not gonna go according to plan, you're gonna feel like you're going backwards, but you're not, but you're learning. And then you're finding out in that lesson, like, okay, this definitely doesn't work for me, so now I have to shift this a bit. And then you're moving it, and you're consistently going through the process, but then one day it's gonna be you, and you're gonna have like the best morning routine, and it becomes a ritual, and you are the ritual, and it becomes your life. And then you start, you know, doing things like that, and I think that's really good that you mentioned that.
Going back to kind of a morning routine, what do you think is like a really great place for people to start in a morning practice, or something that you find is like really significant at changing people's limiting beliefs, for example?
Yeah, so I think with a morning routine, for instance, like you have to understand that it's going to be a bit of a process. So it is going to be a little bit uncomfortable because you're doing something different. Because like we don't really like, and even our nervous systems, like we don't like change as much because like we like to be very, we like things to be comfortable and nice and cute. But anything that's going to be great is going to be a little bit discomforting. So I'd say number one, just remember it's going to be that a bit. But what I did is like I used to be a night owl. So like I used to stay up until like 1 or 2 a.m. And I just like would never get anything accomplished. And so I had to start switching it to morning. So when I started my morning routine, what I did is like I just set my alarm for 10 minutes earlier than like, let's say what I was going to. And I started 10 minutes earlier and I just got up like before the kids did, because it was like a night and day difference to wake up before the kids. So I did that, and then it's like, then I started to really like it because it was like I got 10 minutes to myself to make a cup of coffee without like, having to start being a mom.
Right.
And I noticed that alone was like making a difference in my day. And so then I started waking up 15 minutes earlier, and then I started doing breathing stuff. And then fast forward, then you start doing that. So you, number one, like start with something small, notice the difference, feel the difference, and then continue to add to it. And then I would start, journaling. Then I would do a half an hour, and then I would start listening to guided meditations and just sitting, and then I would like pull tarot cards in the morning, and like it was just this cute little thing, and I started really looking forward to it. And then now it's like I wake up at 4:35 and I started doing, I have my morning ritual and I get everything ready so that before I wake the kids up, it's like I'm good, I'm set, and I've gotten so much accomplished. So limiting beliefs are obviously very hard sometimes to shift because they're obviously attached, well they're not, sorry I shouldn't say obviously, but they're usually attached to like a core wound.
Right.
And so lots of times we don't even realize that they're limiting. But if you're like, I can't do that, I can't get up in the morning, you can. You just might not be able to start setting your alarm for 4:30 and get all this stuff accomplished. So what can you do with what you have right now, with where you're at? Because you have to start with where you're at. And so I think starting to show yourself in little ways that you actually can opposed to you can't, and then focusing on, and focusing on that opposed to the big picture, like you said.
Right. Small steps to work towards it.
100%. And sometimes you can do the small steps, but then sometimes, let's say you were, 10 minutes. Okay, well, you clearly can do it. It is a little bit uncomfortable. It's a little bit annoying. It's an adjustment period. But then when you are adjusted, then it's being like, sometimes you do have to do those things that are really uncomfortable. Like, oh, screw it. I'm just going to do an hour, and then just do it.
Yeah. I also think when you commit to yourself and say like, I'm going to do it, and then actually show up for yourself, it makes a huge difference as well. Instead of like, oh, I really want to do that, and then you just never do it. It's like, you're kind of like not showing up for yourself personally. So it's like, how can you show up fully for others? But when you fully commit to yourself and show up for that routine or that 10 minutes or whatever, you're telling your body like, oh, look it, I'm doing this for you,
And you're making yourself a priority, and it is all about you.
Yeah.
Like at the end of the day, it truly is, because if you're not in a good place, if you're not there for yourself, then you're not actually technically there for other people either. Like, we think we are, but we're not.
Yeah. You just don't have the capacity to hold that.
You don't. Your container isn't. It's drained.
Yeah.
And so you're not, the best way that you can actually serve others, the best way that you can be a better version for the world, for everything, is by being the better version for yourself.
Yeah.
It's all about shifting. Like, just shifting little things. you know, like you said, even with friendships and like things that don't serve you, relationships, it's like when you start to shift a little bit more into yourself, then everything outside of you will start to shift, and you start to realize that, you know, some of this stuff isn't working for you because you are showing and giving to yourself, you know, everything that you need to.
All right, so we're gonna go in with a little bit of facial cupping here to help with some of your lymphatic stagnation that you got going on. Oh my gosh, this is so nice. I know. I guess my intentions, I think I just want to create like more space for myself to like just have my own practices, I guess. Like I really want to do like meditation every single day and like have that container for myself and like fill up my cup a lot more. I feel like in 2023 I absolutely did not do that. I just kind of was drained by the end of summer of 2023, and I didn't really have much left to give, and I feel like it reflected in like content and myself and my relationships. So I just wanted to focus a lot more on like filling up my own cup and I guess devoting that to myself. That's my word for 2024 is devotion. So
I love that.
Yeah,
I love the words. I always love when there's the word.
What about yourself?
Just like really realized for the last 2.5 years, like everything I've been doing has been like really deep diving into healing. And I don't think that the healing work ever stops, but I think that like kind of Pete, my teacher, says is just like, but you get to a point where it's good enough. Like there isn't really anything left for me to heal that I really need to, that's like holding me back essentially from where I need to be, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So like there'll always be stuff that'll come up and I'll just like, but I know how to hold space for it. I know how to be with it. I know how to honor that. So now it's really about like being.
Yeah.
And like a big thing is balancing that with like living.
Yeah.
And like enjoying my life and living my life based on how I want to live it and playing. And I'm ready to start stepping into who I need to be. So I'm gonna start working with people on like getting my website, you know, into basically just a main hub where everything goes through there. Starting that podcast. I've already started like doing like practicing and recording stuff with a couple people, starting programs, working with groups, speaking, starting to really like do a lot more collaboration with people, which is a huge thing because now, before I really felt like I had to be very selfish, and so I kind of separated myself from everyone, and it was because I knew on a non-conscious level that the person that I needed to be for people I couldn't be unless I could be it for myself.
Yeah.
So I had to almost like keep everybody at a distance for the last 2.5 years. Whereas it's like now I know how to do that very easily for myself. And so now I'm ready to start creating with people. I'm ready to start like, you know, bringing in the people I need in my life. And I can be there for them and be there for myself. Because now I feel like my container is infinite.
Yeah.
So that's like a big thing, is just starting to really step outside of myself now, and like being able to be there for others is a big thing for me.
I love that. I feel like the year of 2024 for like especially a lot of females is going to be like collaboration. Like I feel like now, like 2023, we all went through some shit.
The dark night of the soul.
Yeah, and now I feel like we're coming out like lighter, and we're like, everything doesn't need to be a competition. Let's collaborate on everything. Like let's build each other up. Let's support each other. Let's, you know, all of that.
And like you're so right, because like collectively we were actually healing into, like, because as the earth was healing, we were like collectively, it was pulling all of the false synthetic energies and conditioning and distorted beliefs, and it was pulling it out of all of us that was keeping us all separate. And so it's that like years and years, and it was like even through our lineage, and it's like, you know, we were not just healing ourselves, but without realizing we were also having to heal into like our lineages. And all of that we carry within us. And so it's like we had to be like literally go through the dark night of the soul, and we had to, sometimes it had to be really like in your face too, where, you know, you had to see a lot from others so that you could see it within yourself. And so now it's like it's like we're coming back into that, like more of that unity mindset and that consciousness, which is great, because as soon as the females start coming together, then it's like, then everything can start being created from that.
This year, I don't know, it feels like more feminine. Like, last year was like very like masculine and dark, and not that masculine is always dark, but like I just felt very like I need to do all of this and have all of this set in place, and like, you know, to grow. And then it's like, okay, now I can just kind of be feminine and, you know, collaborate and support one another, and
totally, and like that nurturing and that
not so competitive and
where the competition, that's everything that the feminine isn't. And it's like the masculine, because we have both. It's like the masculine is our space holder now, so even it was almost even healing into some of the distorted masculine that we had, right? Because we were so conditioned to be a certain way, and whereas the masculine is like, they're the space holder, they're the container, so that the feminine can have space to create and to have community and to, you know, be and flow and surrender. But we can't actually like technically have one without the other. So it was so much of both, and now it's so pretty and you can breathe.
No, it feels lighter. It feels lighter for sure.
It's so nice. And it's also too, it's like so many people were coming out of too that false mindset of who they had to be and how they had to be. And it's like people are coming back into like their authenticity and like being able to be exactly who they are and how they want to be in every moment, and being able to show up for themselves and genuine. And sorry,
no, you're good.
It was like, you're right on the jaw.
It's all good.
And it's like that, you know, just how they want to show up in the world, and just allowing, which is great.
It doesn't feel so like structured and like you're grasping and holding on to every single moment. It feels like more like ease and flowy.
Which is why everyone had to go through the crap, because the thing is like, that's why it was, is because we literally were holding on for dear life to everything that we thought we were. And then when all that's gone, it's like, oh, it's really not who I am. And now I can just be, and I can be here for others. And it's like trusting too. So much more trusting. Like, that's a big shift I've really noticed in myself. It's like, I don't force things anymore. Whereas like before, it's like I felt like I had to control every little thing. And now it's like everything that is going to be is like, it's going to be. And I just allow things to naturally unfold, and I flow with life instead of trying to force it. And it's like, that's actually how creating is done. And like, because you have that space to allow things to come in. You have that space to see things, you know, from a higher perspective, where you're not down in the stuff, and then you can see how things are gonna like play out a bit more. You can feel how they are, and you're able to navigate more better through life.
And not rush the process, like
Right.
actually sit with it and think about it.
I know. And then that's like, I've honestly noticed that the more I sit in that space, like the busier I am, the more bookings I get, the more ideas come to me, the more opportunities come to me. But when I try to force it, or like when I try to be like, okay, I have to work this many hours, I have to get this much stuff out, I have to do this, it's like it puts a pause on everything. It's like, stop it.
Yeah. Oh my god, yeah, I feel that.
Right? It's just like, why am I doing that? That's not how it's supposed to be. I saw a sweater that said that the other day. And it's like, nature doesn't rush things, yet everything is accomplished.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
okay.
I think I read that in the book I was reading the other day.
Right? It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a great quote.
Yeah. So I guess just wrapping up, I always like to delve into a little bit more self-care. And I know we already talked about like your like morning routine and things like that, but what else do you personally like to do for self-care?
I try to make my life self-care. Like, honestly. So for me, self-care is everything. So it's like down to the food I eat, how I eat it, listening to my body. I know for Sundays for sure, I do self-care Sunday in a way. So it's like I do a hair mask, I do like eye patches, I do all of the stuff. I'll do like a self-tan, or if I'm going to but I try to do something every single day as part of my routine. So it's like I do cold showers in the morning, and then it's like I do the dry brushing. I have these amazing sticks that I actually use often as like a self-care. I just do this, I try to make it very simple, but things that are going to give to me, like are going to fill me up, right? And I don't try to have like a day or something. It's like I literally just try to incorporate them into my day all day long. So whether it's like even with clients, like candles. I love having candles going. I love diffusing stuff, like just things that bring me joy. So I have a day, and then I try to make life an aspect of self-care by incorporating it all through the day.
Right.
Yeah.
I love that.
Then it's just so much more natural, and it's
Like romanticizing your life, kind of.
yeah, that's such a key word. But 100%, because then it's like everything has to be you to make things your own, because then you'll do them, and then it's like you're just constantly building yourself up and meeting yourself the way that you need it to be met without actually thinking you're having to do anything.
Yeah.
It just becomes you, which is how I think really good shifts and changes and intention setting and goals and all that gets accomplished.
Yeah. Thank you so much for coming on, being my first guest.
Yeah, this was so fun.
I am so excited to go through and edit all of this. It'll be so good.
I know, this is awesome. And it's so good too, because it's like always the greatest conversations I always find happen in late rooms like this, right?
I know.
Massage, facials.
Yeah, it's kind of like a sneak peek into like what actually happens behind like my facial door.
Totally, which is so good, because you're like you're so much more than just a facialist.
Oh,
right?
thank you.
So it's so good. Yeah.
And I will have all of Kristy's information, her events she's going to, speaking at, and her website in the description box below if anyone wants to go ahead and check it out.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Peace out.
Okay.